Damn, after such a promising end of the season to have this be the result, what's your overriding emotion right now?
It's disappointing. I think we worked really hard. Training camp, we had ups and downs early in the season, but we were really solid. We had a great group. We played together for the entire season. We stuck together for the entire season. And you work so hard to give yourself an opportunity to play in the playoffs, and it's a disappointing end for us. This is not how we envisioned it happening for us, especially getting home court. But they played a great series. You got to give credit to them for how well they executed offensively, and they came in with a great defensive game plan through some matters that we hadn't seen, and it worked out for them. And we just didn't play great. We didn't have our best series, and I think that's the obvious thing.
Dame, I know that in addition to the regular season, especially during that 13-game win streak, kind of seemed like the sky was the limit for this team. What do you think it's going to take for the postseason to match that regular season success that you guys continue to get?
I think this team, I think we're still capable. I just think, like you said, that 13-game winning streak, we were playing our best basketball, and then we ran into some injuries. Things happened, and we kind of ran into a little bit of a bump. We weren't the flow just wasn't the same, and that was our stretch at the end of the season. We lost 4 games out of, I think, 5 on the road trip, or all 4 on the road trip, and then finished at home with a win. But we just weren't playing our best basketball like we had been during that stretch of 13 games. And then we come in here against a team that played their best stretch of basketball probably down the stretch when they had to, against other teams competing for spots. And they continued that into the postseason. So I think the team is capable. I just think going into the postseason, we weren't playing great. And they came in playing great, and it showed.
Hey, Dame, I saw you hug AD after the game. Could you get a sense of just what this meant, to him as a player to, finally get a postseason win? Could you?
I mean, I'm sure it meant a lot. In our 6 years previous to this year, he had only been in the playoffs once, and they played Golden State and got swept. And he's had it hard. I couldn't imagine what it's like going all those years and not being able to compete in the postseason when you're that level player. So I congratulate him. I wish the success hadn't come against us, but at the end of the day, as a competitor, you can't be a poor sport. When things don't go your way, you got to give credit where it's due, and I give him credit for his performance and their team. And he's also a great dude, so you can't be mad at him. So congratulations to him and his team.
You said you weren't playing your best basketball down the stretch, and the Pelicans obviously are red hot right now. Just in your opinion, if this team continues to play like this, how far can they go? The Pelicans.
There's no telling. I think going into the second round, they're going to be probably matched up against Golden State, it looks like, if it goes the way it's going right now. And I think, they're getting production from a lot of guys. And, in the playoffs, that's what's going to help you get the job done. They got a lot of guys that they throwing out there, and guys are making shots, and the game is continuing to flow. A lot of guys impacting the game. So anytime you have that at the level that they've had it in this series, if it continues, they're going to always have a chance.
CJ.
In the second half, Lillard, you looks stop attacking the rim and stop shooting, and it's not the way you played before. What happened?
You said I stopped shooting and then started attacking the rim?
Yeah.
I didn't want to stop shooting, but I think it was obvious that, that's what they didn't want me to do. Guys were up, and a lot of times I had to attack against multiple defenders and attack the rim and try to draw that contact. But trust me, if it was an opportunity to raise up and take those shots, I would have.
CJ, what did you learn in this series, and then also how are you going to view this season?
What I learned? I already knew it was going to be a competitive series. I knew they were going to be a good team. But from a total team standpoint, it's a full 48 minutes. We had a couple lapses, game one, slow start, and then a couple turnovers down the stretch, and then game two was closer than game three, and a couple turnovers down the stretch. Down one with a minute left, down two with 2 minutes left in game two. Just the importance of each possession, understanding that, you may look at, a turnover down the stretch or a missed box out down the stretch, but it's a lot of things that happen in the first, second, and third quarter that lead up to, putting you in that position. We executed a little bit better earlier in the game than we maybe not down to, with 2 minutes left. Or we close out a little bit tighter on certain shooters, or communicate a little bit better, don't give up, threes and switches. We're not in those positions, down the stretch. So just understand the importance of each possession throughout a game. As you watch the game, you kind of forget about some of the stuff that happens early on, and as you watch film and as you review stuff, the fourth quarter is obviously magnified, but there's a lot of stuff that goes into each possession up to that point that, alter the course of a game. In terms of this season, I judge it on team success, and we had a very successful regular season. We've kind of faltered down the stretch. The regular season, lost some games we felt like we should have won, and put ourselves in a position to have home court, and lost home court as well. So getting swept in the first round is never ideal. It's never something you want to experience, but it's what happened. We have to learn from it, break down the film, figure out ways to improve, individually, and then collectively come back and put it together as a team.
CJ, you had a big night tonight. Was there something different that allowed you to establish a rhythm, and do you think you can take that forward with you?
Nah, they guarded us the same way each game. I just tried to be aggressive. Offensively, we did some things differently, less pick and rolls. Obviously, we've been dependent on pick and rolls for about 80 games, 80 whatever I played this year, heading to the playoffs. But just trying to get some pin downs, some different types of actions to where you're moving without the ball, and I just tried to be aggressive. But I know who I am. I know what I'm capable of. So I don't really need any extra, anything heading into the summer. I know what I do, each summer and how I approach it. So, I'll review the film, figure out ways to improve and get better for next year.
Dame, you've already accomplished some things that no one in Blazers history has ever accomplished. I know one of your goals is to become the greatest player in the history of the franchise, and the desperation that you have to win a title. Do you feel like the organization has done everything to help you achieve that goal at this point? And if not, what else could they do?
I feel like to this point we have. We've done what we can, but obviously there's always room for improvement. Especially when you come up short in the first round of the playoffs and you get swept. So obviously it's a lot of things that could be done better on our part as an organization, and as players. But for me, the same thing remains. I'm going to go back to work, and I'm going to do my part. Everybody has a job to do, and I got to focus on what my job is.
Just for the both of you, I don't know if you're aware, but this is a 10-game losing streak for the Blazers in the playoffs. What is the hurdle for the franchise right now? Is it a matter of the matchups? Has it been execution? What's been just standing in the way of getting to that next level?
I think the previous 2 years we just happened to play against a 73-win team that was really good, and then the following year we played against the team that won the championship, and that's tough. It's not an excuse. We just got outplayed by a better team in those two situations. In this situation, we just didn't play great. It didn't work out for us. They came with a great game plan. They made shots. We didn't. They got to a lot more 50-50 balls than we did, and those are the things that it came down to. So, that's just a number. At this point we've lost 10 straight, but that could change. You can go in the next season and win 8 straight. You just never know. You just got to continue to compete and stay with it. Just keep believing.
CJ, what makes Jrue Holiday such an effective two-way player?
He's got good length, good understanding of the game, moves his feet well, he's good laterally, he's strong. Offensively, he can score at 3 levels, which is important. Being able to get to the rim, shoot the mid-range, and get to the free throw line, and being able to shoot the three-pointer, although I don't think he shot it that well tonight from 3. He hit some timely threes throughout the series. And, I think he's been a good player his entire career. Even when he was in Philly, he was an all-star caliber player. He's been able to lead his team in those last few years, and obviously, with what happened, his situation with his family life, he ended up stepping away from the game. But, he's come back and he's been, more efficient. He's been more effective. and he's having a terrific year and a terrific postseason.
Was he better in this series than you had seen him before?
I think this is probably the most extensive time people have been able to see him in the playoffs. I don't know how much they made it when he was in Philly, but he was aggressive. He hit big shots. The fact that they didn't make it to the playoffs, they had a year off. I think they made it in 15 or 16, had a year off. Out of sight, out of mind in this league a lot of times. So, you guys got to see him again, and I already knew he was good. I've watched film on him. I've been watching him since before I was in the league, so I already knew what he was capable of. I think that, for us as athletes and as NBA players, we know who's real and who's not. And, the media finds out a little bit later as they get to see guys up close.
One more question.
Dame, you talked about the previous first-round ousters. Does this one feel any different, hurt any different?
I think this one probably hurt a little bit more just because we had such a great season, and we came in with really, really high expectations. I think my fourth year in the league, CJ's third, everybody was saying it was a rebuilding year. We got in, played the Clippers tough. They had some injuries. We win the series. We compete with Golden State, and we felt like that was something to build on. So, we were fine with that. The next season, we scratch and claw our way to the 8th seed and end up playing against Golden State again. And, we did what we could do, lost that series. So I think it was easier to accept those. In this series, coming in as a 3 seed and having a great season and being a much better team this year, our expectations just, we're at a different level. We expected more from ourselves. And we saw things going in a different direction than they did. So I think it hurts more for those reasons.